Yeah, as I said, my name is Juma Lawrence behind the Special Tech team. So this one is a session called SIT Tech Talks, whereby we talk on different tech stacks. We invite expertise and our community members to talk to share their experiences and their
Oh yeah, as I was saying that this session is brought to you by Tech and Mentalist as a product, which is under Tech community. Then for the Mentalist is a product which enables you to meet and a mentor on one-on-one talk or session, whereby and even a group session whereby you can book a mentor on a different texas of knowledge so that you can have a session on one-on-one part of it. On our session today, we have a speaker that is Victoria Mutai, who is able to, who is a software engineer, who is able to take us through web scraping with Python. Just before I dilute her introduction, maybe I could welcome her to introduce herself, then take over the session. Victoria, welcome on board.
Hi everyone. I am sorry I'm not able to share my screen. Not to share my screen, I'm not able to start my camera because of some technicalities. I hope, Porter, you can hear right now because I can see on the chat you've said you can't hear. But okay, my name is Victoria Mutai. I'm a software developer at a company called Ascent, which in my day-to-day job, I deal mostly with web scraping, a lot of data. So I'm passionate about web scraping for now, and I really I'm looking forward to interacting with everyone to know like what are the questions that you have, and to share the tips and tricks that I have on my sleeve. So feel free to ask any questions in case you have any questions, and then also if you need any clarification, please let me know. I'm going to start sharing my screen right away. Okay. Well, please indicate on the chat when you can see my screen.
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Okay. So before we start, let me just create a slideshow. Okay. Who knows about web scraping or has web scraped data before from different websites? Who has ever web scraped before? You can indicate on the chat if you are unable to send okay, you can just like unmute yourself and give us your use case if you're able to, or you can write on the chat. John, are you able to unmute yourself and give us your use case?
Thank you. I can actually say it was my first time of using it, and during that time I was using beautiful soap. So actually I was so new to it, and I wasn't getting it right because I actually ended up not successfully fetching up the data, and it was actually sent to me. So I'm here to now get it right.
Awesome. Really nice to know. Anyone else? We had someone. We have Eid. You used beautiful soup. Do you mind telling us your use case? Uh, okay. I think we can just go ahead. We'll get to know other use cases. So web scraping is basically the art of getting data out from our website. So I want you to think you have a whole list of data on a specific website. Say I'm going to use Jumia as an example. You have a list of products on Jumia, and say you are, I don't know, you are an agent for Jumia. So you have your like a small website. You want to have people log into your website and get information about different products that they can order from yourself instead of going to Jumia's website. So that means you will have to go to you're going to get the data from Jumia, and thinking it will be very hard to copy paste the data that you have, because I'm sure it won't be as updated as it should be. So you decide to web scrape. So basically, web scraping is the art of getting data from a website. So on our agenda for the day, we have the introduction, and then we're going to talk, is web scraping really legal? And then tools to use, best practices, example. On the example, I'll just take you through some simple code snippet, and then we're going to conclude with a question and answer session. So introduction. Just as I had said earlier, web scraping is extracting data from websites, allowing users to automate collection of data. Sorry for the typo there. So web scraping is mainly useful when you have really large data set that you're avoiding the copy pasting part, and it could also be a good idea to use when people on the website owners have not provided an API to get the data. So some of the advantages: it automates processes. This basically saves a lot of time and reduces errors. Yeah, because manual doing everything manually means you're going to take a lot of time. And then information gathering is done efficiently and accurately. So some of the use cases, we have getting weather forecast information, displaying social media posts on websites, and getting huge data sets. For example, for the huge data sets, I want you to think about data scientists, people who have a lot of data they want to deal with, and they can't copy paste, and the download is limited on the different web pages. So they go the web scraping way. Is web scraping legal? I'm going to give you two answers: yes and no. Yes, when you do it legally, and no, when you just web scraping for the sake. So web scraping could be illegal. Most websites have terms and conditions on their websites where they say what they expect their users to do while on their websites. I'm going to just try and get an example. So we have an example. A perfect example is the robot.txt file. Just a moment, I share my whole screen and then you can just show you. Okay, this is an example of one website, and it has a robot.txt file. A robot.txt file is basically a file where they tell bots, web scrapers are basically bots, not to scrape specific pages. So, for example, it does not allow all crawlers to access this. For example, the mobile site, voice assistant, system templates, and then also it gives you the sitemap for the website. So while you go through the robots.txt file, you're able to know the do's and don'ts while you're web scraping. So I hope till there we are together. So major considerations while web scraping, we have respect the terms and conditions of use of the websites by reviewing the robots.txt file, and some websites actually provides a terms and condition website. By respecting these terms, you are sure you're not going to be taken, like a legal action is not going to be taken. And then the second one, once you web scrape a specific website, make sure you don't claim it as your own. We all know about lawsuits that come with such situations. So make sure you don't claim it as your own. If you're going to use it anywhere, ensure you recognize the source at all times. And then understanding the scope of the data. Basically, they say all data on a website is public, but in most cases, if the data is public but customer data is private, if you have to web scrape data for personal users, for example, ideally you are just able to web scrape say Safaricom, which is very common, which I don't think you'll be able to web scrape, and you get customer data. You need to understand the data that you have scraped is private. So ensure you understand whether whatever you're working on is public or private information. If you are doing a specific task in a company, one of the best steps to take is have the legal team look at whatever scope of data that you're working on, and even set up meetings with the other people on the other side. Then another thing is keeping tabs of changes on the terms of use. Just as I had said, some websites provide terms and conditions and also the robots.txt file. Ensure that at all times while updating your script, ensure you also check on the terms of use if there are any changes made. Number 5, don't overload the website. I can imagine if it's easy to web scrape a website, say it has 1,000 pages, and you're able to web scrape each website in 20 seconds. That means in 20 times 1,000, 20,000 seconds. I can't convert into minutes. You'll be able to get data from the entire website. That means there's high possibility you're going to overload that website. But one thing, be kind enough, don't overload the server of that website and make it fail. As most of us here, I'm sure, are developers, you wouldn't want that to happen to you. And then another one is using appropriate user agents. User agents, we have like Chrome, we have Postman. Like user agents are basically tools that are used to access the internet. In most cases, web browsers like Chrome, we have Safari, we have Mozilla, among Internet Explorer, among other browsers. And then you can also use Postman. Postman is a tool for creating, reading, and dealing with APIs, which we'll look at later. Okay, next we're going to discuss about the tools and libraries to consider using while web scraping. So I have divided this into 2 sections. We had someone on the chat say that they've used Beautiful Soup before. So Beautiful Soup is one of the tools that are used during web scraping. Beautiful Soup is basically a tool a library by Python that is used to parse HTML content. Just an FYI, before you start web scraping, make sure you familiarize yourself with basic web design, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So once you have that in handy, you can be able to easily web scrape data across different websites, because web scraping is dealing with websites. Websites are created with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Ensure you have a lot, not as much knowledge as you can. So the first tool to use is the request library, which is used to send HTTP requests to different websites. Once you send a request to the website, it returns HTML content. Next, we have the Selenium. If you've used Python before or you're a QA tester, that means you have been able to try UI testing. Selenium, what it does, it imitates human actions while opening the website. Just the same way you'd go to this website, digikey.com, and get any data. That's the same way Selenium does. It opens and then gets specific data using the classes, etc., and IDs. And then we have another library called Scrapy. Scrapy is more structured. It's a framework. Same way we have like Bootstrap as a framework for CSS, or we have Angular as a framework for JavaScript. Also, web scraping has like an official framework for web crawling and scraping different websites. You can get it at Scrapy. It's scrapy.org. Yeah, so you can check out scrapy.org for more information. This is how it works and gets information as fast as it can be. So if you want to go the Scrapy way, make sure you check out their documentation and really understand how it works. Apart from the tools that you're using to web scrape, we have some very handy libraries. These come in handy when you want to extract the data or when you already have the data. So the first one is pandas. I'm sure if we have guys who are doing data analysis, data science with Python, they have already encountered pandas before. So pandas is basically a Python library for reading Excel and CSV files. So in this case, if you are web scraping a lot of data and you need a place to put, instead of writing it into a .txt file, you can really consider using pandas library. It helps in cleaning and pre-processing of the scraped data, and it's quite simple to use. You can check it out. We have regex. I'm sure anyone who has worked with forms before, you've used regex to try and get the perfect email or the perfect password. Same way when you're trying to create an account, they tell you you need one lowercase, one uppercase, at least one uppercase, one lowercase, at least a special character, etc., etc. So also regex can be used for pattern matching and text manipulation. For example, here on DigiKey, I'm just going to search a random number. So why do we this one sounds like this, but some websites don't really like interpret the dash on numbers. They maybe replace it, or the slash, they replace it with specific characters. So it's really important to get some knowledge of regex. And then LXML works with Beautiful Soup when passing HTML content. We're going to look at it practically in a moment. And then HTML and CSS inspectors. These are used to analyze the web structure using inspectors like Chrome DevTools. So, for example, we want to see the content in this. What the CSS inspector does, it enables us to get specific, to know how specific data is indicated. Say, for example, this is an ID called Scrapy Logo. If you want to web scrape this website, you're just going to look for this ID and you're going to get that data. I hope we are still together. I can't see the chat, so kidogo disadvantage. But in case you have any questions, feel free to indicate on the chat. Okay. So I hope we are all together till that point. I can see Doreen has said she... Oh yeah, probably. Probably you've used it with JS. Yeah, because it automates processes, but yeah, data extraction, probably. Same way you'd use an API. Angie has asked, how do we access the robot.txt file? In most cases, to access the robots.txt file, you just put a slash and robots.txt. So for this specific one, it does not have a robots.txt file, but when it has it, it will just appear. So always remember to like append the robots.txt at the end. So when the website does not have a robots.txt file, it's like, unless it has terms and conditions, you'd really not know whether it's legal or illegal to web scrape. Okay, on to the next slide. The next one is deciding on the tools to use. So once you have decided you're going the web scraping way, it's really important to decide on which tools to use. As you have seen, we have like 4 main ones. We have the Request, Beautiful Soup, Selenium, and Scrappy. So deciding on tools to use, the first factor to look at is the language used during development. For example, if the data is being passed from JavaScript, we're using a lot of JavaScript, say React and Angular and other frameworks. The best way to use to automate this process is using Selenium. And then if it's HTML, CSS, basically it's so easy. You can use Python request library and Beautiful Soup. And then another thing you can look at, if any dynamic data is being passed, I'm going to just use DGKey because I'm really familiar with it. So I'm going to put random data. I'm searching for this. And when I click on search, you can see it generates a random key. So once it generates a random key, it's really so hard for me to figure out which random key will be generated at any given moment. That means the best way I can use is Selenium to just open this page, which we'll try out in a moment. Next is find out whether the website has an endpoint API. On the inspect of the website, instead of going to elements, there's a network tab. So the network tab basically shows how data keeps getting into the website, like how data is being transferred. Sorry. So we have, this is the all tab, and then there's a fetch and XHR. In our demo, we're going to like have one that uses API. So on the fetch./XHR, if there's any API endpoint API being passed, we're going to just grab data there. And then another thing about APIs, some websites are really kind enough, some people are really kind enough, if they have huge data sets, they provide APIs. if the website provides APIs, I'd really advise to go using the public API way rather than web scraping. Okay, another point is quantity of information you want to pull, because if you are looking to pull, say, 10 files, 10 parts or 10 files or 10 rows that you want to pull, I don't think going the web scraping way, writing the whole script to pull is really advisable. And then how to store the data. It's really important to understand if you're getting huge data sets. If there are a lot of images, etc., that means you can save it in a different website. For example, you're web scraping Jumia. But if we have a lot of numbers, a lot of text, you can either save it as a .txt file or an Excel file using pandas. So I just indicated in my example, we'll find an example that stores as a txt file. And if we have time, we can go the pandas way. So best practices for web scraping. Yeah, I had said the first one, go for the API if the website provides a public one. Respect website terms of use and robots.txt file. Avoid overloading the web server. And then you can simply avoid overloading the website server. If you've worked with a lot of APIs, they recommend, say, you can only scrape 1,000 a day. Please respect that. And if you are scraping, if you don't have a limit, please be as polite to the website. For the web developers, you don't want your website failing every day. So make sure you polite scrape your website, the websites that you're working on. Be kind to the developers. You can use the time.sleep, which is a library that helps in slowing down the scripts. And then handle errors and exceptions. This is really important to handle the different errors and exceptions, because you can imagine if it's searching for a specific data and it's not finding it immediately, it will keep repeating. So we can simply put an exception handling that if it finds a specific error, say attribute error, it skips and goes to the next one. Then make regular review and update your script to ensure it matches guidelines of the website. And then ensure data privacy and security, especially when you are handling sensitive information. Any questions to that point? Any questions? You can just indicate on the chat before we go to the practical. Okay, I take it we don't have any questions. You can unmute or you can type in the chat. We have a question. Doreen, yes? Doreen.
Okay, sorry. Okay, please repeat. Hapo kwa, like, what's the point of the .robotics.txt?
So robots.txt file is just a file that, it is a file that informs the user, the web scrapers of the pages that they're allowed to access. And in most cases, when you have a robots.txt file, you'll be able to, if you have a robots.txt file, you'll be able to scrape without any problem. Like you'll not be able to access those specific pages while scraping. So maybe you can try and implement on private data. Have I answered you? Okay. We had another question by Victor. Are there low code or no code platforms for doing scraping? Yes, there are a lot of them. Oh yeah, Scrapbook is an example. There are actually a lot of them. Not Scrapbook. I'll get you a list before the session ends, and I will just add it here. But there are a lot of text. Most websites don't put the robots.txt file. Actually, it's robots.txt, but depending on different websites, they name it differently. Yeah, it's robots.txt for LinkedIn. Doreen, yes, as a developer, you add the robots.txt on your website. You can see the way this format for LinkedIn is way better. You have the user agent, and then it disallows all these different routes. So, for example, for Tech10, you can just disallow the entire e-learning platform. So Morgan has said Playwright is a good tool to use when scraping. It even generates codes for you based on your clicks. So you can also, the one who was asking can also check out Playwright. Okay, any other questions? So on the robots.txt file, you notice that there are two very important points. There are two very important points. There is the disallow and there is the allow. So where you can allow users to pull data, you can just put the allow, and then they'll be able to web scrape. But where you've indicated disallow, it will be very hard for bots to web scrape. Okay, the rest of the questions I think we can handle at the end. So for my practical sessions, I have divided into two. There is a scraping via Beautiful Soup and requests, and then scraping via Endpoint API. So I am using two websites. So there's this blog. There's this blog that posts famous quotes. So I'm just going to have a look. We have like a lot of quotes on this website. There's just a lot. So for example, you have a quotes website, or you have a website that you just want to keep generating different quotes at different times. So what do we do? I have written the entire code here. I'm going to just create a URL for getting these famous quotes, and then add the different headers, payloads, and then I'm going to import requests, which requests I use to send the different requests, just the way you indicate whether it's a get or a post or a put, whatever request. So yeah, this is going to use the get method to get this specific data. So this data, it's really important to let you know, I didn't type everything here. I came to this website, inspected the website. So here on the network tab, I'll just go for all. I'm going to refresh this page. And as you can see, the first one here, it sends, this is how the data is being received on this end. So as we wait for it to load, my laptop is slow for the first time in a long time. So you can see it's just a replica of the website. It hasn't fully loaded, but okay, yeah, you can see this is quotes by famous people, 100, yeah. So this is just an example. I'm going to right click on this point. And then copy as calabash. So this is just like, I don't want to really hard code everything. Once I copy as had a calabash, I'm going to come here on Postman. I hope everyone has a Postman account, or I don't know the other one is called what, but Postman is basically a tool for developers where they can build APIs, they can, I don't know the right word, but kind of imitate the different requests by different APIs so that they can test their APIs, and then they can also like imitate requests and know how data is being presented by different websites. So sorry, I'm going to click here on import, and then I'll paste the calabash that I had copied, and then once I send the request, okay, I'm going to send the request again. Okay, as you can see, it's the same title as our website here, that 100 most famous quotes of time. So I don't need to go through it because I know it has given me the data. And then I'll come to this point, which is really essential. You can copy these requests as different programming languages. You can see C#, there's JavaScript, JavaScript fetch. Yeah, those JavaScript lovers, there's Kotlin, there's Node.js, and then there's Python, HTTP client or request, and then the different languages. So for me, I'm going to use requests on this one. I'm going to just copy it. So once I copy it, let me just fold this. So once I copy it, I'm going to just remove the cookie so that it doesn't expire, because definitely cookies keep changing. Then I'm going to imitate that request. So as you can notice, it has given me all the data, but it's really not readable at this point, because it's just like you have to do a lot of things to understand. So what I'm going to do, I had said earlier that Beautiful Soup is a tool that is used to pass this information. So I'm going to import Beautiful Soup. So Beautiful Soup comes from BS4, which is a Python library. You can check more information about it. So from BS4, import Beautiful Soup, and then I'm going to give a variable named soup, and then I'll assign it Beautiful Soup into brackets, and then the response.txt file, .text file, which is just the response that we have received from that request, as you can see at this point here. And then I had said LXML is always used with Beautiful Soup. There's another one called HTML.parser, but preference really. So I use LXML. So if I print reprint soup, you can see also it's just the same information ideally, but a little more readable, but still not what I really want. I just want specific sections of this website. I don't want the whole website. So I just want to get the best quotes of all time. I'm going to elements, as I am sure you have encountered this while you are coding. And then, so as you notice, this is a section with the class name, featured snippet wrapper. I'm just going to copy it. Sorry. So there's, in Beautiful Soup, there's a method called find. And then I'm going to write class. So for class, you write class underscore equals to. You really have to go and do more research about the different data, how you can get it. So as you can see, it has given me all this information. The greatest glory, you can just confirm it's this. It's the same one here. So basically, that means you have gotten that information. So that's how to get this information using Beautiful Soup. Beautiful Soup and the requests library. So if it was a page that was not allowed to access by the robots.txt file, I wouldn't be able to open it, to scrape it. So I'm just going to like find the first, to print quotes one by one. So we can just so to go to the next loop, you just do dot find. Then same way, class underscore question. Oops, that was a typo. So as you can see, it gives me all this data. If I want to find the HTML tags without the class and other things, I'll just write that specific tag here, either list or ordered list or any other, say div. And then if I want to find all the lists, I'm just going to write the find all and then li. So it returns a list of everything. So I'm just going to put this into a variable called quotes. If you've used Python before, you know how to access parts of a list. For example, I just want to print the last quote. I'll just do the -1. And you can see it, we've just gotten it there. So, and I can also loop through the list. Quote in quotes. And then I'm going to just print. Yeah, it has put it, and then I can convert everything into text. Yeah, and use it where I'd want to use it. I hope now to that point, I hope we're together. Please write yes in the chat or no, or any questions in the chat, but I'll answer the questions at the end. Thank you, Evans, Lawrence. Okay, the next part is scraping via endpoint API. So this is a Jiffy website. If you've used it before, to just download the GIFs, etc. So you can easily like implement it on your projects. So again, when you open a website, you have to confirm whether data is being sent via an API or it's just a basic HTML, CSS. It's a basic HTML, CSS file. So I've just inspected it on the network tab. I'm going to reload it. Oops. I'm sorry for my very slow laptop today. There's a document being sent that opens this page, and then also you can confirm here on the fetch. So as you can see, we have different data, but also you can see this is for the trending GIFs. So, and then we have also for the artists, different, like it's just the same data ideally. So instead of web scraping using HTML, CSS, it's always very easy to web scrape data that is being sent by the API. Notice, I'd give a perfect example. This could be data from the database being sent into the UI. So that means it's being sent by some unofficial APIs. It's not the developer who created these APIs, but if you have to store your data on a database, that means every time it's being imported, it will be coming via API, an official API. So this is not the developer's work. And then to also note, you can deactivate these routes on the robots.txt file, but also you can't unless you have deactivated it on the robots.txt file, you cannot limit its usage by different users. So I'm going to repeat the same process. I'm going to copy as calabash. I'm not sure I did the right thing. Copy, not copy all, just copy as calabash. Okay, and come here to Postman. I'll just reload it. I don't know why it's just like I'm trying to open a new tab. Okay, we can just review what I got here. So this is the data that I have received. And just try text. This is how I copied from that website. As you can see, it's just a lot of information about the different GFs and everything. So the best way to read this type of data is converting it to JSON. And also note, like we have imported JSON here apart from requests. Also for the API, you can either copy it to the different languages that you're comfortable with. And then the response on what's it called, on Google Colab. This platform that I'm using, it's called Google Colab. You can get data from the different JSON by just printing it out as JSON only, as the variable only. So I'm just going to focus on the results. So once I'm on the results, the normal way of accessing data, so I can actually do for response. just the normal JSON way of accessing data, looping through and getting whatever information you want. And as you can notice, we had a rate limit of 3. So you can increase it to the number you want. So for example, we want the images, the link for the images. So you can try and access another one called feature GIF, and then inside the feature GIF we can try and access the images. And then just like that, you can continue until you get all the data sets that you want. This would be really useful when you're working on, say, a website, and then you can get these links and add it to your different websites or different use cases. So that's it with web scraping when there is an endpoint API. Just to note that endpoint API is unofficial. So the final one we're going to try out is using Selenium. I'll just reshare my screen again. Let me know when you can see my screen. Perfect. I'm going to put this here. So I'm sharing. Okay. Okay, I was sharing the wrong screen, sorry. So I'm just going to use this hotspot site that you are looking at, and I'm just going to save, once I have pulled the data, I'm going to save it on a TXT file. I'm just pulling the same exact data. So when I run it, a Chrome window is supposed to open. Oops, it opened on the wrong side. Okay, yeah. So this is just Selenium opening the Chrome window. Definitely, it's just getting the data that I have asked for, and then it's going to print it. It's going to write it into our file. So this is how Selenium works. It doesn't carry any headers because automatically it's going to open Chrome. It uses the Chrome driver. There's also one for Mozilla. I'm not sure the name. I think it's also Mozilla driver or something. Yeah, and then so these are the things that it's a must to import. Zooming in. Okay, so we have the undetected Chrome driver. You can use either the normal Chrome driver or the undetected one. Undetected one is just like most when you don't want you don't want them to detect that you are a bot, but some websites do detect, and then import everything else. So for Selenium, you have to pip install Selenium. Yeah. And then there's the options. Here you choose whether you want the Chrome driver to open up, the Chrome browser to open up, or you just want it to there's the headless one where it doesn't pop out, it just loads and then prints out the data, and that's it. It doesn't really pop up. So yeah, and then you get you call the driver to get the URL. So this time.sleep here, I just put it so that before getting the elements, we allow everything on the browser to load. And then also this is usually used to slow down the scripts. You can use it both in the request and in this one on Selenium. So for Selenium, we have driver.find element either by class name. Let me just write by, and then you can see. So you can use the CSS selector, ID, link text, name, tag name, expert. Expert is when you have you want it to look through several parts. For example, you have a div with a specific class, and then you have a list, just the way that we did to find the list. And then yeah, this lower part is just to write into the text file. Any questions? So just returning to my slides, that's it for the practical part. Someone is asking, in what scenarios would the text data be scraped? So a perfect scenario, at my current workplace, we need the text data for part information, which is stored into the database. And then we scrape till links for PDFs, where after we have scraped, gotten the links, we are able to download it. So different companies have different uses for web scraping. Some just need the numbers, others also need the text. And then it's also really important to know that when you're web scraping, you might also need, if you're web scraping just the numbers, for example, for a specific for a specific place, say Nairobi, you'd need an explanation for that data, so you have to also scrape the text. Have I answered your question, Victor? I'll share the slides and the GitHub codes. I'll just push it in a moment, and then I'll share with you the link. And then Job asked, which tool is the best, Beautiful Soup or Selenium? One thing I'd say, depending on the use cases and how the website has been built, you can either use Beautiful Soup or Selenium. The way I have shown you, some websites are really so secure, you have to use Selenium to imitate how humans behave when they're accessing the different websites. So the tool to use depends on your use case, but just an FYI, Selenium is a bit slower compared to Beautiful Soup. But also for Beautiful Soup, you have to really be careful not to overload anyone's website. Victor, you can unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and ask the question. Any other questions? Okay. If Brandon, you can just feel free to unmute yourself instead of muting. Kinoti, you're working on a project. You need data from Facebook. You can actually reach out to me on LinkedIn, and then maybe we can have like a more informative session on dealing with it.
Hello, Victoria.
Yes, hi.
Yes. Thanks for the session. It was educative. Now, I asked about low-code or non-code platforms for web scraping. You promised a list.
Yeah.
And another question, must someone have personally currently learning data engineering? And I just started a course on data camp on web scraping today. Must someone have a knowledge in HTML and the CSS? Must you come from a web background to understand it better? Can the knowledge in CSS help foment web scraping skills?
One thing I'd say for the skills, it's because unless you're using no code platform, it's really important to have some little knowledge of HTML, CSS. Because if you don't, for example, you don't understand the different classes, it will be really hard for you. It will be really hard for you to know how to get that specific data. So I'd really advise, if you're not using a no code platform, just get some knowledge.
What's the learning curve for HTML, CSS? How long can it take someone from a non-tech background?
From a non-tech background.
To master fundamentals, that is.
I think I think Doreen is on this platform, who's an instructor of HTML, CSS. Maybe she can have more insight. I don't know if she has left, Doreen. But I think within a month, because you don't need really much information, just the basic.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can check out online platforms that teach HTML, CSS, JS, like W3 schools. Yeah, and you can really like learn faster.
Okay.
You had also asked about the low code or no code. I'll make sure to just add it at the end of this presentation so that you can get it. Jimmy.
Sorry, I just wanted to add on to what has been asked here. He is asking on the learning curve for learning HTML. So for learning HTML and CSS, the learning curve isn't that steep. It's quite a subtle learning curve. So mtu anaweza learn haraka. You can actually learn it very fast. But on CSS, it can take you some time because CSS has a lot of elements. It depends on how ready you are to learn. So, but the learning curve for HTML and CSS is very. It's not that steep.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. Can Beautiful Soup handle JavaScript generated content? Yes, unless it's dynamic. It keeps changing. Like you can use Beautiful Soup to scrape a website today, and then next week it's a little bit different or uses different class names because the names have different like variables at the end. Any other questions? What's the best way to acquire scrap emails and phone numbers? What platform are you using? Whatever platform you're using, platform in this case, LinkedIn, I'm not sure you'll be able to scrap, but you can actually check it out, and then you can use the regex, research more on the regex, and just know how to like find a specific phone numbers, etc, etc. And like the format for emails, you are looking for something that has an art. The way you just use regex on different platforms, you can research more on regex. Any other questions? Possibility of bypassing the security when it comes to web scraping. Yes, there is something called rotating proxies, or you keep changing your IP address. But that's paid. I know a platform like AWS provides that services for rotating IPs and rotating proxies. Gilbert, are there any gigs for this web scraping? And if so, can you suggest platforms? There are several. There are several. I was looking at just a moment. These freelancing, these freelancing platforms usually offer a lot of web scraping jobs. Yeah, there is Upwork, and then also you can get it on LinkedIn. You can just like Google search for web scraping jobs and then try and apply as much as you can. Any other questions? What's the maximum number of emails or phone numbers I can web scrape? That really depends on if you're able to bypass all security. You can web scrape as much as you can, for as long as you just be polite while web scraping, not to break the website. Okay, I think that's all from my side. I'll hand it back to Juma. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. I'll be taking it over from Victoria. Thank you. Juma is a bit away. Okay. So I'm Jimmy. Sorry for those who don't really know who I am. I am Jimmy Tron. I'm also part of Special Text. And actually, I've actually learned so much. So I hope you guys also got to learn from this session. And we shall have such sessions every Saturday. So you can actually just plug into our Eventbrite page. You can just check out what we have scheduled there. We have a long list of events for. I think they go up to maybe next year January. So you can just check on to what you can actually subscribe to, what you want to actually listen to, and if you have a topic that you want us to speak on, you can actually just suggest it. Maybe you can suggest it to Juma or myself, and we can also just see on how we can even fix it to the calendar. Otherwise, I want to thank Victoria for the informative session. Actually learned a lot. I've been afraid of using Selenium for a long time, and I actually saw how it was actually being executed with ease and with Python. So that is still my tech stack. So I actually see
I actually see myself using Selenium from now on anyway. And yeah, I think I hope you guys enjoyed the session. And uh, Juma, if you can hear me, just raise your hand. I know you can speak. Yeah. Okay. So I you can't hear me.
We can hear you.
Juma is messing around with me, so sorry. Okay. Thank you, Victoria. I hope we'll get to see you in another session. I think this is your second session. I'm seeing you here for the second time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Karibu tena. Maybe you can come. I see you have you know how to actually share your stuff. So maybe you can also just suggest another thing that you can want to share. Then we'll actually get you to actually speak on that. And other than that, maybe we also coming up with the mentalist platform. I think we've talked about this for a long time now. And the mentalist platform is coming around maybe this month. Yeah. So mentalist is a platform where you can get mentors. So you get one-on-one basis mentorship. So when you want to meet like someone like Victoria here, you can actually just get to uh, interact with you book a session, and once the session is you can even get to join, even get to book a group session with guys like what we're having here. So that is how mentalist is actually meant to work. You just have group sessions or one-on-one sessions. So from there you get to learn, you get mentored. So that is what mentalist is all about. So if you want to join the waiting list, so that you get to actually be among the first people to actually use the platform, you can just log on to mentalist.com. So mentalist is written MONT ERLST. It's mentor LST. I think Juma, you could paste the link so that I don't misspell it. It's mentalist. mentorlst.com. There's no I in the list. Okay, thank you guys. I hope we've learned a lot. So it's 20 minutes past the hour. I wish to say it's safe for me to say we can leave. We can stop this session.